Say their name and they appear. I believe in alignment. I believe in alignment. From Canales, Dan Morgan, Brad Idzik too, down to Bryce Young and Clowney and Josie Jewell. I believe in alignment. I believe in alignment.
Wave your hands from side to side. Say, believe, keep pounding the alignment.
Let's get this sucker started.
The state of North Carolina covers 53,000 square miles. It is the habitat of the feared Carolina Panthers. Get dialed in, Panthers fans, for an in-depth look at your team, exclusive interviews, locker room insight. Let's huddle up for Panthers Playbook. Here are your hosts, Dennis Cox and Chris Lea.
Welcome back to another episode of Panthers Playbook. That is Chris Lea. Dennis Cox here with you. By the way, with training camp starting next week, we're having a little training camp preview, but we're here every Thursday leading up to the regular season. And then also after preseason games, we're going to have a post-game podcast for you. So we're here. We're back full time, Chris. We are back full time. So make sure you subscribe here on 99.9 The Fan's YouTube page or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, and make sure you leave comments and like as well, Chris, because we're back full time.
Yeah, excited to be back talking about Panthers a lot more. This has been so fun over the last year. I think we've had a really good impact on, the Panthers, fan base. And you guys have supported us, and we want to be here for you guys to, talk about frustrations and things like that. So we're going to be here for the season, man. We're in it. And let's double this win total this year and get at least 4.
If not more. For
the 704.
Well, speaking of 4, we're actually going to give our top 4 Carolina Panthers going into training camp. And also we're going to rank who the top 4 need to be at the end of this season for the Carolina Panthers. So leave your thoughts in the comments below. Who are your top 4 going into training camp this season? And Chris, I'm going to ask you this. All right, who are the 4 best Carolina Panthers players right now as we are a week away from training camp? Give me your number 4.
The top 4 right now. Okay?
Right at this moment.
I'm gonna start at number 4 and then end at 1.
Okay.
Got a feeling our 1 is probably gonna be the same.
Sure.
Number 4, I'm gonna say Chuba Hubbard. And
All right.
people may disagree with that, but right now, as far as like being able to rely on something and what is coming back, we know that Chuba Hubbard is the best running back on the roster right now, as far as what we already know what they can do in the NFL, right? We're still waiting to see what Jonathan Brooks does. He's coming back from ACL injury. We don't know if this year will be a lost year or maybe he'll really find his groove halfway through the year or whatever the case may be. But we also know in this system, they're going to run a lot. And they're going to use that run game to set up play action passes for a smaller quarterback in Bryce Young, so it can kind of open up the field for him a little bit, open up his line of sight so he can hit those receivers. So the run game is going to be important. And so I say Chuba Hubbard for that reason. Number 3, Diontae Johnson. He came on the team. He was traded for him. We traded, Dante Jackson away. Now we have Diontae Johnson, and he's already known as one of the best route runners in the NFL. Not to be confused with one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. I think people kind of mishear that when I've said that before, but he's known as one of the best route runners. If he can come there and give Bryce Young, who was one of the more accurate quarterbacks in the NFL last year, a for sure target, so that they can kind of change up their passing attack and make it a lot more potent this year. He's there for a reason, and that's the reason why he needs to be there. Number 2.
Okay.
Jaycee Horn.
He
just has to stay on the field.
Just got to stay on the field.
He's got to stay on the field. I mean, he's so good, and almost I don't want to say that like you put him over there and you don't worry about him, but like you can pretty much put him on the other team's best receiver, and you know for sure that you kind of have that side taken care of for the most part. So if you do have, some worries about the other side, maybe you could send extra help over there. And then number one, of course, is Derrick Brown. He got paid for a reason.
Yep.
He's, the Panthers are going to need to stop the run. They're going to have to rush the quarterback. And after losing, Brian Burns, we're going to be looking at Derrick Brown. And he's not going to be, he's not going to be the guy who's probably going to rack up a bunch of sacks. But, hey, if he can come in and have a nice 8-9 sack year as a defensive tackle, well, he's playing defensive end in this system, but he's a defensive tackle. And stop the run and just make things harder for other quarterbacks, Panthers have done their job.
All right. So you and I actually have a pretty similar list in terms of people, but how things are rated are different. My number 4 is actually Jaycee Horn for everything that you stated. The guy's awesome. The guy's a stud. If he was healthy, we'd be having the same conversations about him like we have about Patrick Surtain II, Sauce Gardner, like that same like age group of young corners in the NFL. We'd be seeing the exact same things. He just got to stay on the field. He's that damn talented. My number 3, Robert Hunt. Robert Hunt, the offensive lineman that they signed in from the Miami Dolphins, because you talk about that running game with Chuba Hubbard, whether it's Jonathan Brooks or whomever, that dude is a mauler in terms of the offensive line, in terms of the running game. The dude is a mauler. He is super athletic and quick, and I guarantee you he's going to help so much with the interior of the offensive line. That was a complete disaster last season. There's a reason why he got 5 years, $100 million. Robert Hunt is that good, and he's entering the prime of his career. My number 2, it's Diontae Johnson. Everything you said about Diontae Johnson's right. I love this trade, and it's a great move for the Carolina Panthers to give Bryce Young someone that can actually get separation from a defensive back. Like you said, one of the best route runners in the entire league.
Yep.
If he has a 80-catch, 1,000-yard season, 8 touchdowns, perfect. Love it. Absolutely love it. Because he changes everyone else's role. Adam Thielen doesn't have to be your number 1 guy. Xavier Legette doesn't have to come in and be a number 1 or number 2 guy right away. He can evolve into that role. So having Diontae Johnson there is going to be great for this offense. And number 1, Derrick Brown. It's Derrick Brown. Yeah. Because he's the one that's been most consistent for this team over the last several years. 100-plus tackles last season, set an NFL record for an interior defensive lineman. Only 2 sacks. Part of that also comes with most teams were just running the ball because they had leads against the Carolina Panthers last season, so the opportunities weren't there. I would like to see maybe the evolution of Derrick Brown, like where he steps his game up next to be more of the splash plays, more sacks, maybe a couple forced fumbles, maybe another couple passes.
Like Aaron Donald a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the next step of the game. Like, all right, you're getting tackles, which means you're around the ball at the line of scrimmage. Awesome. Let's add a couple of forced fumbles in there. Let's add a couple of fumble recoveries. A little bit more playmaking, for a lack of a better term. But those are our top 4 for me, top 4 for you. We're pretty much in alignment, Chris. We're pretty much in alignment. There we are. We are in alignment.
We're here.
Back in the alignment, Chris.
We're here.
Back in the alignment.
We're here.
But when we have the same conversation at the end of the season, who should that top 4 be? Who should that top 4 be, Chris, when seasons ends? If everything went right, who should be that top 4?
Number 4, Diontae Johnson.
Okay.
I mean,
right, I dig it.
He absolutely needs to be, like, first off, Adam Thielen is older. He's 34, 35 years old. He's the
oldest wide receiver in the NFL.
Oh, he's the oldest.
The oldest by like 2 years. Oldest.
Okay. So, we love what Adam Thielen was able to provide last year. We're thankful for that.
Grateful.
But if he is the number 1 receiver for this team again this year, something went wrong, whether it's injury, whether it's, Diontae Johnson didn't pan out or whatever the case may be, something went wrong. We don't need Adam Thielen to be that guy. And also, we don't want to expect Xavier Legette to come in the league. I mean, it'd be great if he does this, but we don't want him to come into the league and expect a 1,000-yard season from him. Now,
unless
he's
capable.
Do it.
Unless
you're going to do it. Hey, but that guy, though, is Diontae Johnson. And to have that sure guy that Bryce Young can count on, he needs to be that person. I'm going to say Derrick Brown is number 3.
Oh, okay. All right.
because on that defensive line, it's pretty much a retooled defensive line for the Carolina Panthers. That defensive line and that front seven in general is just going to be crucial for that team's success as far as like keeping them into games, not letting other teams run on all over them and putting pressure on other quarterbacks and hopefully getting some sacks in key moments of the game. Number 2, Shaq Thompson.
Oh, Shaq. Okay.
When Shaq Thompson is playing at his best, flying around, getting tackles, breaking up passes, covering the other team's running backs and tight ends on routes and breaking up passes there, or at least, taking away the options for the quarterback. When he's getting interceptions, when he's playing with that swagger, the defense seems to fall in line, and he is the leader of that defense. And you felt his presence missed last year because of injury.
He
You
kind of
need.
feels like the heart and soul. Like not only just great player, but kind of that heart and soul.
As far as on this team, like when you talk about old school Carolina Panthers, the only guy you can really go back to besides J.J. Jansen, and he's special team, so I'm not going to count him, who can go back to that original keep pounding, time period, that is Shaq Thompson. He was there for it. You know what I'm saying? So he absolutely needs to be the heart and soul of not only just the defense, but I think the team.
I'm with you.
And I want him to be on the field the entire year. Again, freak accident last year, not his fault, but hopefully he stays healthy and plays very well inside of the system. Number 1 needs to be Bryce Young.
Yep.
And I think that last year, so many people, I think, put so much unjust, blame on Bryce Young for his performance and the performance of the offense in general last year. 1, he's just a rookie. 2, he was in a very toxic situation with the coaches. We don't have to go through that once again.
Yeah.
He didn't have a line to protect him. He, besides Chuba Hubbard, nobody was really running very well for him.
No.
Nobody was catching passes for him, things like that. And he was a rookie. He has an excuse there, and he was still able, him and Justin Herbert are the only quarterbacks in NFL history that had their first 11 starts where they complete 20-plus passes in those first 11 starts. So it wasn't like he was bad. He was one of the more accurate quarterbacks. He did have some bad moments. But, Bryce, they took care of everything for you.
Yep.
New coach, more friendly system for you. Baker Mayfield was on the Pardon My Take podcast just this week and said to those guys, I loved Dave Canales. I love Brad Idzik. Brad Idzik has a great football mind. Those 2 guys are going to make Bryce Young so much better because of just their knowledge of football and their approach to coaching. He's never had a coach like Dave Canales, he said, as far as somebody who looks at the positive in every situation. He was down on himself, and he could look to Dave Canales and said, hey, guess what? We have another play. And he said that was a calming force for him. I hope the same is true for Bryce Young. And now he has protection. He has the has the wide receivers. He has another running back. He has a tight end that we drafted for him. So, Bryce, now it's up to you. And I hope you're able to do your job with it, and hope everybody's able to do their job around you.
Okay. You and I are going to have a lot of similar players listed on this. My number 4 is still hopefully is Jaycee Horn, because if Jaycee Horn is number 4 still on this list, that means he was healthy this season.
Yes.
That means he played 14, 15 games. And him being on the field changes everything else for the defense. You don't have to worry about safety help. You don't have to, which allows them to do different things. It changes everything. It allows a guy like Dane Jackson to not have to guard the other team's number 1 wide receiver or force Troy Hill to the outside or whatever it might be. So everything
That's
changes.
Crucial.
Everything changes when that guy's 100%. 100% crucial. Number 3 for me, it's Ekwonu. Ekwonu has to be number 3 for me, because if he steps up to play that number 6 overall pick that we saw, that he was drafted to be just a couple of years ago, he even said to himself this offseason, like, look, I tried to ride the coattails of my rookie season. I didn't work as hard. I didn't use all the resources that were there for me. He acknowledged where his faults were. Let's see if he turned things around. If he's that top 10 pick, where guess what? You don't have to worry about sending a linebacker or keeping a tight end to help him out, or Bryce isn't running for his life, everything else changes around you. Everything else changes around you in terms of that offense. So for me, number 3 has got to be Ekwonu. Number 2, Derrick Brown. I think for everything that we stated earlier, Derrick Brown. And number 1, Bryce Young. You were drafted number 1 overall for a reason, to be the guy. Go be the guy. Everything you said about everything around him improved. You got 2 new offensive linemen on your interior. You got 2 new wide receivers in Legette and Johnson, another tight end, and a running back for you as well. Like, everything around you improved, and the coaching's changed for you as well. Everything around you improved. You better elevate your game. Simple as that. This is on you. We better look at you at the end of the season and go, yep, Panthers got a guy. Panthers got a guy.
And by all accounts, an easier system. Here's something that I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about. Do you remember last year when the questions are asked at training camp and during mini camp and OTAs, the questions are being asked to the players, hey, Frank Reich's system in the playbook, what are your thoughts on it? Everybody said it's tough. Yeah. This is a very difficult, and we should have known then. But I think that in some ways, because we were coming off of Matt Rule, we were thinking that I guess more complex is better because he's a real NFL guy, and Matt Rule and his crew weren't NFL guys. That should have been our clue back then. Everybody last year was talking about how hard that playbook was to learn. Mm-hmm. And we saw it on the field. I mean, guys were confused. They didn't know what to do. They were running it slow. It felt like they were, kind of still figuring out the steps in their mind. And now this is supposedly an easier, more player-friendly system, and a system where Dave Canales says he's going to use it to he's going to do the things that work best for his players and their skill sets. So now that you have this, Bryce Young, it's your time to shine right now. Show why you were picked over CJ Stroud. Let people know. Let people know why you were picked over CJ Stroud.
Go shine. Go be that number 1 overall pick. But you and I, Chris, clearly are number 1. We're in alignment here.
Yeah, we're here.
We're right here.
I mean, we are here.
We are here, Chris.
We're here.
Right in here.
Are you here?
I'm here.
Are you here?
Oh, I'm right here.
Oh, because I'm here.
Oh, I'm right there with you.
Oh, we're here.
We're right there. We're right there. And we want you to be right here with us. And the way to do that is you subscribe and leave comments down here on the YouTube page. Make sure you do that. Or also leave that nice 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Be right here with us. Be in alignment.
Hey, listen, if you're listening to us on YouTube, I want you to comment right now.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Right here. Just say I'm right here.
Say I'm here. Are you here?
Say the name, and we are there. I believe in the alignment. We're back again next week. Training camp is next week, folks. Chris, I know you're going to be stopping by training camp.
Yes.
I might see you down there in Charlotte with you. And we might have to do a Panthers playbook from down there, right there in Charlotte, Chris. Might have to do it. Let's do it. But don't miss anything. We're having episodes for you every single Thursday through training camp and after every preseason game. And then once regular season hits, we're doing Sunday post game and Thursdays during the week as well. So make sure you subscribe. Until next time, stay aligned.
We're here.
Right here.
We're here. Right here.